In this video, we're going to talk about the nitrogen cycle and explain how nitrogen is converted from one form to another, what organisms are involved, and the processes that take place. So we start out with atmospheric nitrogen. Atmospheric nitrogen is pretty stable, it has a strong bond, and so organisms cannot incorporate this nitrogen into their bodies as protein very easily without the help of microorganisms. Of course, nitrogen is really important as a part of proteins. It forms the amine group in proteins, and so plants and animals need it to build muscles, to build tissues, and for all the other functions of proteins. So one of the ways atmospheric nitrogen can be converted to a compound of nitrogen is through nitrogen fixation by lightning. And in this process, the nitrogen is converted to nitrates. A second way that atmospheric nitrogen can be converted to compounds of nitrogen is nitrogen fixation by bacteria. These bacteria are found in the root nodules of leguminous plants, of bean plants. Root nodules are just swellings on the roots which contain these bacteria, and these nitrogen fixing bacteria convert atmospheric nitrogen to ammonia. Ammonia then needs to be absorbed to be in a form that can be absorbed by plants, so another type of bacteria, nitrifying bacteria, convert ammonia to nitrites first and then to nitrates. If these nitrates are not absorbed by plants, then they can be converted back to atmospheric nitrogen in a process called denitrification by denitrifying bacteria. Otherwise, these nitrates will be absorbed by active transport through the roots of the plants, and once they're absorbed, they will be assimilated into proteins. They will be incorporated into protein molecules in the plants. These plant proteins can then be eaten and assimilated in the animals' bodies into their proteins, into animal proteins. Animals and plants, animals then pass out some waste matter, some unused proteins, and some deaminated proteins in the form of urea, and plants die and start to decay, and their proteins are broken down by decomposers, bacteria and fungi, which decompose the nitrogen compounds, proteins, and urea and convert them to ammonia and ammonium ions. And this ammonia can then also be converted to nitrites and nitrates by nitrifying bacteria. So there are four types of bacteria that you need to know about. These nitrogen-fixing bacteria in the root nodules of plants, the nitrifying bacteria that convert nitrites to nitrates and ammonia to nitrites, the denitrifying bacteria that convert compounds of nitrogen such as nitrates back to atmospheric nitrogen, and the last one, the decomposers, which we've already talked about in food webs and food chains, decomposers that convert plant and animal proteins and urea back to ammonia. So that is the nitrogen cycle.